morning, and thank you for tuning into the Andrew Tate Show, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. We've got a great show for you guys today. We're going to be covering Anthony Joshua and Francis Ngannou, the Carolina Panthers and Bryce Young, the CFP format and revenue distribution, and as always, of course, make sure you stick around for later in the show when we'll be diving into the oddities of the day. Before we start, I'd like to ask that you guys like and follow the show. Also, we get a number of questions from the viewers that come in during the show, so to ensure that your question gets read on the air, I ask that you use the tips and donation link with your question. The tips and donation link is gsmcpodcast.net. Just put your question at the top of the list so that I can see it, and it also just really helps the show. Hello, Tate. How are you?
Hello. Happy Monday, Faith.
Happy Monday.
I was refraining from talking to Faith this morning because Faith had that Monday morning glow about her today. Mm-hmm. That sounds kind of like kind of bad. But so I want to understand, how was your weekend?
My weekend was great. I told Tate before the show started, he asked how I was, and I said, I'm good. I partied way too hard this weekend, but I had a great weekend, good weekend.
Oh, you just can't be you partied too hard. We want details.
All right, so
not
Friday,
too many details now. You got to pull back on some of them now.
I got you. Friday night, I hung out with some of my boyfriend's co-workers, and we had a great time. We went and did some pool and bowling at one of the bars here, and then just did more pool at another bar. I mean, I didn't play pool. I'm not good at pool.
I'm horrible at it.
So, and then we ended up going back over to one of their apartments afterwards, and I don't think I was asleep in bed until like 6 a.m.
So in other words, you were drinking until 6 a.m. Is that what you're telling us?
Yeah, yes and no. I'm very good about pacing my drinks, so I wasn't like I was like super drunk at 6 a.m. But Miss Grammy over here gets up at 5 a.m. every morning and goes to bed at like 9, so staying up past the time that I would normally be awake was a lot. And then I had to go to work the next day after that, and then we ended up going out again Saturday night. We didn't stay out that late, and then yesterday, my boyfriend did a pop-up with some of his co-workers, and they did like food pop-up at a brewery, and so I went to that.
And Faith's boyfriend is a pastry chef, am I right?
Pastry, I mean, he didn't do pastry this time, but yeah, pastry chef in general, yeah.
Now, all this partying this weekend, is this because of spring break? Or is this just happen to be the weekend to
just happen to be the weekend? Listen,
the bangs were on point, and you're like, let's go.
Working in the service industry, I'll tell you what, service industry people know how to party.
Oh, girl, I got a story I could tell you that will not be on air. But oh wow, yes.
Yeah, it was a fun weekend.
So,
had a good time, but I'm tired.
Here's the thing. I'm over here thinking about work, and like my whole schedule is weird now. So being in Europe and being based in America, you guys just went to daylight savings time, right?
Yes, which I forgot about.
That doesn't start for us for 3 weeks.
Oh, well.
So appointments on my schedule that would be normally, like this call is normally at noon. Mm-hmm. For the next 3 weeks, it's at 11.
Yeah.
And so I'm worried about this because this time change that I'm going to end up showing up really late for our show one day. And I'm a stickler. Do not be late on my appointments.
Yes. Tate is a stickler when it comes on time. On time.
Yes, I am. His face starts laughing at me over here. Okay, let's see. What do you got for me today?
Okay, so we have Anthony Joshua versus Francis Ngannou that happened on Friday, I believe.
Yes.
So it was over before it really began in Saudi Arabia as Anthony Joshua pummeled his way past Francis Ngannou with a devastating knockout blow in the second round. It was a much-needed victory for the 34-year-old who struggled to find his best boxing over the last few years, but this showing looked like the Joshua of old as he brutally aced past his opponent in Saudi Arabia. Coming into the fight, there was a lot of excitement surrounding Ngannou in what was just his second ever professional boxing bout. He had made a living in the UFC, where he had been a heavyweight champion, but the veteran fighter fancied a change of scenery and moved from the octagon to the ring. But if you guys saw this, whoo, baby, he folded over like a chair.
Okay. So, did this surprise me? It did. And it's kind of like I got tricked by the fool's gold. And what I mean by that is, give you a little background. Francis Ngannou, former UFC heavyweight champion, I believe current PFL champion. Francis Ngannou has been famous for the powerful knockout. He is that power punching guy that is rarely ever matched by anyone. But that's in mixed martial arts. There's a reason why there's two different organizations. Mixed martial arts, it's judo, jujitsu, wrestling, boxing. You have to be a very rounded fighter to fight in the UFC or PFL, which means you are good at a lot of different things, but rarely are you great at anything, because you can't, if you're practicing your boxing, then your ground game has to suffer. You can't, where you're talking about Anthony Joshua, who is former heavyweight champion of the world, has been boxing since he was a kid, only boxing, only having to focus on, boxing, defending, not worrying about takedowns and defending on your back and all of this stuff. And the reason why I was fooled is because this is what I thought was going to happen to Francis Ngannou against Tyson Fury, who is the heavyweight champion of the world. They fought, and many accounts, many people had Francis Ngannou winning, all to the point he even dropped the heavyweight boxing champion of the world. But when I watched this fight, it was quite interesting because Joshua didn't do kind of like what Tyson Fury, which was, I feel like Tyson Fury took him for granted, took him like, we'll have some fun and we'll take care of, and got his butt whooped. Many people thought he lost. If they would have said Francis Ngannou beat Tyson Fury, I would not have been shocked, because when you watch that fight was that close. Joshua didn't do this. Joshua wasn't playing around.
No.
Joshua came, there's this whole term called fumbling the bag. Joshua wasn't there to fumble the bag. He was there. It was a heist. He went in there.
It was just another day of work for him, honestly. That's how it looked.
Oh my God.
Man went in, clocked in, boom, boom, done, clock out.
See, the thing was, what I thought was quite ingenious with him is Ngannou kind of came in his very aggressive state, throwing kind of like wild haymakers, which is kind of what made him kind of famous in mixed martial arts. And Joshua did something incredibly smart. He started with the jab. He set everything up behind the jab, either like a jab to the body, a jab to the head, a jab to the chest, a jab to the body, jab to the head. He just kept on with the jab, and then set him up with the big right hand. And that first right hand, he hit him, but I thought it was a slip initially because he slid. And like but Joshua has some power. People don't realize how much power that guy has. And Ngannou went down, and but I was kind of surprised at how long it took him to get like. When I heard the 8 count, I'm like, what the heck? He slipped. What is he getting up faster? And he got up on a count of 9, and I was like, that's weird. Then the next round, when he got hit, the one shot and he went down, but then when he set it up again behind that jab. Yeah. He threw that jab. It was a jab to the body. No, jab to the head, jab to the body, overhand right, dropped him. That's when he was on Dream Street. Yeah. And when he was on Dream Street, oh my God. He stood up, and Joshua didn't even set it up behind the jab. He just threw a straight right hand, and Ngannou was out so cold, I thought he was going to start sucking his thumb. He was hurt. He was out. I mean, yeah, you could have counted the 35, 40, 50, and he was not getting up. He was taking a nap. It's this, in the world of combat sports, karma is a bitch. And I look at how he knocked out Alistair Overeem, and Reem got knocked out that he was just straight as a board. Well, Ngannou got knocked out. He was straight as a board. He got put down.
Yeah.
What are you gonna
say? I've never watched boxing, MMA, anything like that before. So this was the first time I ever really watched something like this. And you should have seen my face when that man just went. I was like, oh my God.
Man, a straight right hand can make you take a nap. I mean, a nap. A straight right hand is brutal. And there was the last one, it was just no setup. It was just straight down the pipe. And it landed flush. And I'm telling you right now, there's not a man on the planet that would have stood up from that shot. That was as clean as a shot as I have ever seen. Man.
Well, he looked like he was struggling with the first one, where he getting back up from that. And I was like, there's no way we already first hit. He's already down for the count.
Now, here's the thing, though. This really sets up Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury has his title fight coming up. If he wins that one, then if I'm Tyson Fury, I'm immediately fighting Francis Ngannou next. And then I'm fighting Joshua. He could go up with 3 massive paydays in a row but the blueprint has been made. You can't start boxing this late in the game and think you're going to be able to compete on that level. Just because the heavyweight champion kind of was feeling himself and was quite cocky, allowed Francis Ngannou to stay and get into the game. There's a lot of fighters, I think, that can do that to Francis Ngannou as a fighter. Boxing is different than MMA. Now, you switch that around and you put that fight in the UFC, and I think it'll be a totally opposite reaction. I think Ngannou would destroy Joshua and punish him, but not in that boxing ring. No. You stay in your area, he stays in his area. Yeah. It rarely ever works out for a guy to be like, you know what? I've been doing this sport for 20 years, my entire life. I'm going to go on over. I'm going to go start doing this other sport. It rarely ever works. Yeah. Eventually, especially in combat sports is one of those things where a bad day at the office, Faith, for you is, man, I slipped up and I said something, I'm embarrassed. A bad day at the office in boxing and in mixed martial arts is, someone just knocked my head into the 3rd row. and I'm embarrassed.
And you look like a fool. Yeah.
Did you enjoy the first off, my breakdown was longer than the fight. Do you understand that?
Well, what was so funny is like Tate asked me to watch the fight for the show, but they said they were like, it's not going to take long. It was literally like, I think it was maybe 5 minutes. I was like, oh my gosh.
I think it was 4 minutes.
I was like,
that was the most lopsided fight. And Ngannou got hit with some of the cleanest shots. Man, he got baptized in the ring. He saw Jesus.
He did. Yeah. Jesus came down.
Oh my God! I can't believe how he got hit.
That man folded like a chair. It was crazy.
Ooh. Yes, he did. I tell you what. The sad thing is, Ngannou has to fight one more time. He doesn't have to, but they said he got about $20 million for this fight. And he's going to turn around and probably get another $20 million to fight Tyson Fury again. I take your 2 L's and call it. That's because I'm not retiring until I get that rematch.
I'll take a beating for $20 million.
And man, I just don't see him, like Joshua said he should keep with it and hold his head up. And I don't see it that way. I feel like he had a good showing against a guy that thought he was so far outmatched that he outmatched him by so much that he didn't have to take him serious. And confidence got into the game. And that's what happened with Tyson Fury. There's only one chance for catching someone slipping. The next time they get in the ring, Tyson's going to take it serious. Also, when there's so many people that thought he lost that fight, coming back, he's going to want to prove something. And I could see him really, really punishing Francis Ngannou on the rematch. I give Francis' boxing career for me is over. And it might, when you get knocked out like that, the question is sometimes those shots that caused such a massive concussion, because he was on Dream Street. Sometimes you don't come back from those. With a knockout like that, if I'm Francis Ngannou's camp, I'm not doing MMA. I'm not doing boxing for 12 months. That brain, you got to rest the brain. I think you got to give him a year before he comes back getting a shot like that. Man, I got a headache. I had to take me 2 Tylenol PMs after seeing that shot.
He was counting sheep.
Oh, woo. Big angry sheep.
Yeah. That was a sight to see. Sure.
It was worth. Told you now. I've made Faith a boxing fan. Slowly, I am corrupting Faith on every level.
Slowly but surely. Alrighty, guys. Well, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to be discussing the Carolina Panthers and Bryce Young. So stick around.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on the fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant. I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000 faces. Hey, give me that crown, get in my way and to be put down. It ain't your place, all this my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I'm losing it, the noose it fits. I'm losing shit, a stupid myth. You choose to live or choose to dip. You choose to fight or lose your grip and lose a gift.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
Alrighty, guys, welcome back. Earlier, we were discussing Anthony Joshua and Francis Ngannou, and now we're going to be talking about Bryce Young and the Carolina Panthers. But before we do that, I just wanted to remind you guys to like and follow the show. Also, we get a number of questions from viewers that come in during the show, so to ensure that your question gets read on the air, I ask that you use the tips and donation link with your question. That link is gsmcpodcast.net. This puts your question at the top of the list so that I can see it, and it also just really helps the show. I'm going to put Tate's business out there since he puts my business out there all the time. Physically got up out of his seat and went and got his snack for the day.
Brother got to eat.
What do we have today? What is...
Okay, this is same thing as before. It's the pastry. It's like phyllo dough with ham and cheese inside. Then they bake it. It's all nice and gooey. The ham is on point. It's all flaky. It just starts flaking off left and right.
I'm jealous.
You got, wait a minute. You got a guy that makes this stuff for a living. He gets paid to make pastry. I don't, it's just...
Right. He gets paid to make pastry. That's his job. Do you think he wants to come home and make more pastry?
This is true. If
He
you're
does
working
it sometimes, but
if you're working at McDonald's and someone says, "Hey, will you make me a Big Mac in the kitchen?" You'd be like, "No, fool." So I do understand what you're getting at there. Yes. So, okay. All right. So what do you have for me here?
So, the Panthers didn't properly prepare Bryce Young. The quarterback didn't stand a chance. The Carolina Panthers didn't create the ideal environment for quarterback Bryce Young to thrive in during his rookie season. Bryce really didn't stand a chance, said a source with direct knowledge of what was going on with the team, according to ESPN's David Newton. After Young was selected with the number 1 overall pick in the 2023 NFL Draft, many expected the former Alabama standout to deliver an exceptional inaugural season. That wasn't the case, as the 22-year-old completed just 59.8% of his throws for 2,877 yards in 16 starts. He also racked up 11 touchdown passes compared to 10 interceptions, while the Panthers finished with the league's worst record of 2-15. While Young's struggles were apparent, it's also fair to question the coaching and personnel around him. Head coach Frank Reich was fired after the Panthers got off to a 1-10 start, while offensive coordinator Thomas Brown wasn't retained by the team after new head coach Dave Cannells was hired once the season concluded. Newton noted that there was a difference in philosophy between Reach, Brown, and offensive line coach James Campen. In fact, the team used a pistol formation in week 1 that wasn't implemented until the week before. This likely affected Young's preparation heading into his first career NFL start. I see you shaking your head. So, what's going on?
Okay. When you go to a dumpster fire, don't be shocked when you get burnt. Just don't be shocked.
Yeah.
The Carolina Panthers, they have ran this, the way this team have been set up and been running the last few years has been an outright dumpster fire. If you're a young quarterback, you need a solid coach, a solid offensive coordinator, a solid quarterbacks coach. You need weapons. They had none of that. Bryce Young was put in a really bad situation where no one could have succeeded. You insert anyone in this year's draft and put them in that same kind of situation, and you're going to struggle. This, you can't put a team like Carolina doesn't. I mean, poor coaching. To have your coach come in, put in an offense a week or two before the season starts is like, whoa. The whole point of the off season and training camp is to get your young quarterback acclimated to the offense, to his weapons, to everyone around him. And everything I was seeing and hearing is it was such a poorly ran organization, a poorly ran coaching staff. I'm not going to say owner, but the coach ran things so poorly that it really put him in like the absolute worst situation. And here's the dangerous thing about this. They traded up to get the first pick. Now, the Bears have their pick, and that's the number one pick they have now. So they're really losing two number one picks because the one they took last year and the one they're going to lose this year. By putting Bryce Young in a situation like that, you can ruin a quarterback. At a young age, when a quarterback comes to the league, confidence is their number one weapon. They have to believe, I can do this, I can compete at this level. And when you set them up to fail, sometimes quarterbacks never come back from this. I often think about the way Browns did with Tim Couch, or Browns insert a lot of quarterbacks, how they just weren't set up for these guys to win. You know, that's one of the things I love about what Kansas City did with Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes, stellar quarterback. But what do? They let him sit behind Alex Smith for a year, let him get acclimated, get his confidence up. Mm-hmm. Patrick Mahomes wasn't this in college, but putting him in the right situation with the right organization, with the proper coaching, and Patrick Mahomes soared. You look at Aaron Rodgers being in Green Bay, sitting behind Brett Favre, gave him the ability to become a much better quarterback. This formula has worked for years, but the formula that rarely works is, hey, you're a dumpster fire organization with dumpster fire talent around you and a dumpster fire at coach. Hey, let's stick this guy in and just throw him out there. He was not put in a good situation. It's a shame. It's a outright shame, because now he has to go with a brand new coach, another season with all that extra pressure. And I don't know if Bryce Young will ever come back from this. And, you know, this is a great example where many other teams in the NFL who are looking at drafting some of these quarterbacks need to protect their quarterbacks. You know, when I look at, like, I wrote down a few. Spencer Rattler, he definitely needs, you know, to go to the right organization. Bo Nix needs to go to the right organization. J.J. McCarthy, Michael Penix Jr. These are guys that could be, in my opinion, great starting quarterbacks in the NFL, provided they go to the right place with the right situation. Because if you go to the wrong organization that doesn't know how to develop you, they will develop bad habits or they'll lose their confidence. And next thing you know, these guys are out of the league. It is such a dangerous thing you have to have the right person. That's one of the reasons why, like, when with the Bears and what their plans are, I thought the Bears should just start over fresh, brand new coaching staff, everything. And if you're going to bring in a quarterback, then match the coach, the general manager, and your starting quarterback so that they're all lockstep of the same goal. Now, you know, the Bears kind of have a weird situation there where they kept their coach. Well, in Carolina, now they have a brand new coach who's coming in, and it's like, hey, I didn't draft this guy. I didn't want this guy. This guy just got put on my lap. It's kind of like Russell Wilson with Sean Payton. Sean Payton's like, I didn't give him that money. I didn't go out and get him. He's not my guy. I want to bring in my guy. So he didn't really put Russell Wilson in a place so he could succeed. I'm definitely very concerned for Bryce Young because I think he's an incredibly talented quarterback that may have just ran into the absolute worst possible place to go.
So you don't think it has anything to do with his skill set. You think it's how the team has been set up.
Yes, I think Bryce Young is incredibly talented. He's small, but we have shown that there are Tua in Miami, the quarterback in Carolina, not Carolina, but in at the Cardinals. These are small quarterbacks who've shown that they can play in the NFL. It just comes down to, do you have the right coach to put you in the right situation? That's the most important thing. And I just think no one was set up worse than Bryce Young this year. That was a horrible place for him to go, in my opinion, from the jump. Soon when I saw that the trade, I was to trade up for him. I'm like, oh boy, it's gonna be some rough years. I kind of feel that way with Caleb Williams right now, where, you know, you look at the Bears, and before I start this, we had a guest, not a guest, but a comment on our account about the Bears, and he agreed with me that the Bears should trade both of those picks back. And I definitely think they should, because what they need is more protection and weapons, and then go get your quarterback. The Bears, when you look at the Bears, by putting yourself in a situation where you trade out of that number one pick, but you get a boatload of picks for that one. You trade out of that number 9 pick, you get a nice haul for those. You slide back in the first round, you get your quarterback, but then you got a lot of weapons to set your quarterback up for the future. Get him a receiver, get him some blocking, get him a running game, put the weapons around him. You can do that just by trading back. And you could set the Chicago Bears up for years to come, where I look at the Carolina Panthers, their quarterback is going to have an uphill battle from this point on, because they don't have a lot of weapons. They can't get the haul of picks that the Bears can pick as well. So if the Bears did this and traded back, I think they could set up a guy for years to come. So that was just my take there.
Yeah. It's crazy to see like what an organization can like do to like their players and how it affects things. Like if there's bad coaching, or
you can ruin a player.
Yeah. I mean, because he was number 1 overall pick last year, and now he's not doing.
Imagine your dream was to get to the NFL. And you were this great quarterback in college, you're feeling confident, and then you go to a organization that's not giving you the tools to be successful. And you're not, they're putting in offenses a week or two before the season starts that the speed of the NFL is so much different than college football. That's the number one thing. So your goal as a coach is and there's a lot more information to get acclimated to. So you have to get acclimated to the speed of the game. And that could take anywhere from 3 or 4 games to a couple of years, just the speed of the game. Then how complex the offense is. That's another part of the game that takes you a while. And sometimes when you see an NFL playbook, it is crazy. I don't understand how anyone could handle doing an NFL playbook. But trying to remember what read goes where, the quarterback has to know every aspect of the offense. And then to have a situation where you're getting dumped in a brand new offense, which you should have had months ago. You should have been looking at that. When you walked across stage and shook the owner's hand and you put on the cap on your draft day that you were going to the Carolina Panthers, day two should have been, hey, we're excited to have you in here. We're going to have some people that's going to get the playbook to you, start getting you worked up on here. We're going to not, hey, we're going to go to the 2 weeks before the season starts. Let's go to the pistol offense. That's crazy. That's a move that a desperate team is doing. And it's a sin.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Do you think Bryce Young will be able to come back for this? Or are you...
Because I'm worried, no. Mm-hmm. And that's way too early to write him off. He's a great guy. Mm-hmm. And I don't mean it as an insult to him by saying no. I'm a little concerned that maybe he will not be able to, is because when I look at Carolina and what they did last year, and I look at Carolina and what they're planning on doing this year, there still doesn't look like there's a plan. Mm-hmm. So you have to get things in place. Get him some weapons. Get him some protection and weapons. More than anything. You're going to be bad. Carolina Panthers are going to be bad this year anyway. But get him the weapons he needs. Get the blocking, the receivers, the running game. Put all your efforts into making him comfortable. That should be the Carolina Panthers' number one goal. I just don't know if they're going to do it. So.
Well, you kind of feel bad for him.
He's a great guy.
Yeah.
I just think he just went to a great guy that went to a bad situation. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah.
And sorry for you Carolina fans if you don't like what I've said about you guys, but sorry. Love Carolina. Right now, hate the team. hate the, love Carolina, hate the team right now. Would love to see you guys do better, but unfortunately, I don't see you guys getting any better anytime soon. And if you miss on your quarterback, if you don't get him the weapons, and if you've missed on Bryce Young, you set your team back almost a decade.
Yeah.
And that's something that's hard to come back from.
Well, sorry, Carolina.
I hope I'm wrong. I truly hope I'm wrong because I would love to see him do well, but it don't look good.
Well, guys, with that, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to be discussing the college football playoff format and future revenue. So stick around. We'll see you in a second.
For the best and latest podcasts available anywhere, go to the podcast app on your cell phone and type in GSMC to access free content-rich podcasts on health and wellness, book reviews, sports, entertainment, relationships, social media, movies, technology, finance, and even weird news. Subscribe and download the GSMC Podcast Network's family of shows, available everywhere podcasts are found.
Alrighty, guys, welcome back. Earlier, we were discussing the Carolina Panthers and Bryce Young, and now we're going to be talking about the college football playoff format and future revenue. Welcome back to what I call the reality TV show of college football.
You know so much about it, don't you?
I do now.
Wait, did you do your intro for the segment?
Yeah.
Wow, I just tuned out then. I'm over here chomping on pastry. Didn't even see this. Didn't even hear you do this. Whoa, that what you went through. Too smooth. I missed that whole thing. I'm over here.
Tate snacking during breaks. He's already had a bite.
Giant chunk out of my snack here. Next thing I know, I missed a whole 30 minutes of Faith talking.
Not 30 minutes. 30 seconds, probably.
Okay. All right. I feel a little bit better that I just didn't ignore everything here today.
Yeah.
All right. So what's going on with As the World Turns?
Oh boy. All right. So with the college football playoff format and future revenue in flux, here's what's on the table. As the college football playoff leaders continue to examine the future of the enterprise, the industry sits on edge. The Big Ten and SEC flex their muscles, basically. The Big 12 and ACC toil over compromise. Playoff formats and revenue models continue to circulate. A deadline looms. An agreement is absent. And for some, a troubling certainty exists. Any deal reached will drive a further financial wedge among the four major conferences. The CFP is barreling towards a new format and revenue model that skews towards the new Power 2 of college athletics, creating a more formal delineation, it's Monday, between the two groups, the SEC and Big 10, the ACC and Big 12. While the Power 2 separated themselves long ago through increased revenue streams and recent expansion, a new playoff model is expected to draw a more permanent line, using an uneven revenue distribution, a tangible separation, and forming between college football's halves and those that were once variable equals in the space. So, any decision on a playoff format is taking a backseat to a more significant piece. Money.
Money.
Yeah.
Okay. You know, the Big Ten and the SEC are just flexing.
They're
hard.
just like, they're the big bullies in the school.
They're like, give me your milk money. They're just slapping everybody around right now.
Mm-hmm.
It's unfair what they're doing. It is absolutely unfair.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, the playoff model's up for,
Mm-hmm.
you know, when they first started talking about this, and it was like, okay, I get it. They're the bigger conference. So then the first they're like, we want automatic bids. Well, it's never happened. There's not a playoff organization in the world that says, hey, the NFC East, they're the richest conference, so they're automatically getting two bids. The Cowboys and the Commanders are automatically in the playoffs this year.
Mm-hmm. Do you know how many people would be so mad about that? There'd be riots in the street.
Of course there would be riots in the street. People would lose their mind. But that's what the Big Ten and the SEC demanded. Mm-hmm. Originally, they wanted 4 teams automatically in.
Yeah.
So the compromise is, hey, we get 3 each. So 6 between our conference there. We get 6 people. Then it was like, you know what? Our conference, we want to buy too. Meaning, whoever wins the SEC, don't matter how they won it. Whoever wins the Big Ten, no matter how they won it, they get automatically moved to the second round of the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
We used that example before. Before anything is done, you're automatically going to put the Dallas Cowboys in the second round of the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
People would lose their mind over that.
Yeah.
But that's exactly what the SEC and Big Ten wants.
Mm-hmm.
They want their champion to automatically get moved to the second round. That's crazy. But everyone's okay. Everyone eventually was like, you know what? We're gonna let it slide. We're gonna let this slide. We're gonna do our best to keep this thing going.
Mm-hmm.
Then it's like, hey, one more thing.
By the way,
just one little smidget left. We want most of the money too.
Mm-hmm.
Automatically, right off the top.
Yeah.
So we want a larger chunk of the pie on top of that. Not to mention, so before any games are ever played, they want to have it so that they get a big chunk of the money off the top.
Mm-hmm.
Then for their teams already making it to the second round, they get more money because their teams are automatically in the second round.
Here's my thing.
Uh-oh, Faithlin jumped in here.
You pick one. You can't have both.
No, all three. That's three. We got 3 teams in. They will buy and more money.
I feel like if you want more money, you don't get automatic bids in the playoffs.
Right.
Pick one.
No.
You get one.
No, they got 3. They want 3 teams in the playoffs and an automatic buy, and they want all the money.
I mean, it's like toddlers trying to fight over toys. This
It's
I
kind
don't want little Jimmy playing with any of my toys. He can sit there with a piece of paper and he can figure out something to do with that.
That is kind of like if a woman went to her family and said, "Listen, I'm getting married,
Mm-hmm.
and I want the big giant wedding.
Mm-hmm.
I want it at Disney World. I want it at the Magic Kingdom. I want you to rent out the Magic Kingdom for my wedding. Also,
No thanks.
I want you to get me a house.
Yeah.
You got to get me a house too.
Mm-hmm.
And
You gotta pay for your grandkids' college.
I want you to buy me a fancy car too.
Yeah.
One last thing, can you give us a lump of cash on top of that,
Mm-hmm.
so we can get off to a fresh start?
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of equivalent of what it is. I'm not trying to sound sexist. I just use that as an analogy.
Yeah,
you can insert your male analogy in there, whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
But hey, we want our team. We're the biggest and baddest and richest, which is, it happens from time to time. You look over the last 100 years of college football.
It fluctuates.
Pac-10 was the best conference at
Yeah.
one point in time.
Mm-hmm.
The ACC was the best conference at one point in time. The Big 12, the Big 8, it just goes on and on. The SEC, the Big 10. It changes over time, but one thing's been consistent. If you were a good team,
Mm-hmm.
you got to the postseason, whether it was bowl, national championship, and the Big 10 and SEC is like no more of this level playing field anymore.
Yeah.
They are like, we have the advantage right now, so we're going to make it so that no one will ever be able to have an advantage over us again. Because now we're going to get the most amount of money.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to guarantee that we have the most amount of teams. We're going to guarantee that our guys automatically make it to the second round. We're going to get more money because we have more teams in. And because we have more teams in, we're going to make it to later in the rounds as well, which gives them even more money.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it works out to about 56% of the money is going to go to those guys. And it's going to work out to about 30 million a team. Mm-hmm. Where if you're a Power 5 team, not a power team, a group of 5 team, if you even get there, you're hoping to get about $2-3 million when they're talking about $30-40 million. Not to mention they're already going to get that $70 to $100 million they got with their television deal on top of that. Mm-hmm. They're setting themselves up. And guess what, Faith? They have no choice.
Right.
ESPN has said, listen, there's a deadline. Mm-hmm. One thing, it's like, it has to be decided next week, or there's a risk that ESPN is going to pull their deal. So the Big 12, the ACC, and the group of 5, they're going to have to say yes. They have no choice. because here they hold the ultimate hammer. We'll leave the we'll leave the NCAA. We'll leave. We will leave the NCAA, the Big Ten and the SEC will leave the NCAA, leave you guys behind. You can have your own national championship, and we will do our own national championship, and we won't include you. And guess what? When you look around and you see a playoff, and it's Georgia, and it's Alabama, and it's Ole Miss, and it's LSU, and it's Florida, and they're in the playoffs against, Texas and Oklahoma, and they're in the playoff against Ohio State, Michigan, USC, Oregon, Washington, Penn State. Who's going to watch the other playoff?
They're not.
What playoff are you watching? Where you understand?
Yeah.
They know they have this right now. That's their playoff. Are you gonna watch the playoff? Let's say you're gonna have Florida State and Clemson, maybe Miami and Louisville, okay, and Pittsburgh, and we're gonna have Texas Tech and Iowa State, Kansas State in their playoffs. It's kind of like, nah, dude, I'm going to watch this one. And if you're ESPN, which one are you going to give the television, if they split apart, where's that television money going to go? That television money going to Ohio State, Michigan, Alabama, Georgia conference. They're not going to be going to, Kansas State and Kansas playoff games. These guys are over a barrel now. They know it. The thing that has always kept things balanced is that they never decided to collude together. Collusion. Meaning, the Big Ten and the Pac-12, when they were both on top, they didn't decide to collude together. Or when the ACC was doing well. Now, but this time it's Florida. The SEC and the Big Ten have talked. And they're a team. The two biggest giants are now teams, and they know it. And so they're doing what they want to do because they can. And everyone knows if they leave, we get left with nothing. And the whole concept of not only this is not only set up like, hey, 3 teams, automatic bye, more money for the college football playoffs. We already have the largest television contract in college sports history. Now, you're sitting there and you're Florida State, or you're Clemson, or you're Utah, or Miami, or North Carolina, and you're like, soon as we can, we're leaving and we're going to that conference. Are you going to stick around in the ACC?
No.
That you see, are you going to stick around in the Big 12 when you could get left out? And that's the Pac-2. That's the Pac-12. We didn't bring them up. You just pour a little bit out on the sidewalk for your dead homies over there with the Pac-2.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. So the NCAA is in big trouble, and there's not a real solution because these guys are flexing, and they're flexing hard.
The thing is like, as much as I am a Georgia fan and Georgia is in the SEC, and I would, if they got an automatic bid into the playoff, I would be like, yeah. But it's not fair. It's not fair. It's not fair for anybody else except the SEC and the Big Ten. That's not fair. It may be fair for them, but it's not fair for everybody else.
Let's say, Faith, you got a scholarship when you got out of high school to go to Clemson or Florida State. I'm just saying. and you're going there and you're loving it there, and now someone's telling you that, hey, your conference doesn't matter. You're not going to get the same amount of money. You're not going to have, imagine, take yourself out of being in the SEC and put yourself in some of these other schools.
Mm-hmm.
You'd be heated.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's nothing about this that is fair.
No.
But it's going to happen. I don't need to have like a crystal ball to tell you the future. I got faith. And faith says it's over.
It's over.
They're going to do it.
Yeah.
I'm willing to bet you they cave by next week. Now, I'm not talking next year. I'm saying by next week, they cave and they give them everything they want, because the alternative is that if ESPN pulls that contract, then they'll leave. And then those other conferences are really hurt.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's the reason why I could see them. I mean, I think a lot of stuff is going to come to a head within the next 2 weeks.
Right.
So.
Ooh, boy.
Woo.
Eat my popcorn.
Is it not? I mean, it's been this way every year for a decade and a half. The college football off season is better than the regular season. That's crazy to say that, but all hell breaks loose in the off season. And that's just one of the stories. You're still looking at Florida State.
Ooh,
and there's rumors that Clemson has been putting together a big old pile of money, gearing up for they're trying to figure out how they are going to have to deal with the legal issues and how they're going to get out. Then there's also talk and rumors that the Big Ten and the SEC are tossing around, if this doesn't work out, how do we add more teams? Maybe we break up that ACC and invite those teams in. And so there is still rumors that some of these, that the SEC and Big Ten are not done expanding. So that's another thing that could kick in there.
Yeah.
All the stuff with the name, image, and likeness. It's a madhouse. It is an outright madhouse.
It's a mess.
In college football.
This is a mess. Somebody spilled their juice and they are not cleaning it up right now.
Listen, this is the kid that has all the toys, and he's like, not only that, I want the Xbox, I want the PlayStation,
pony,
I want I want it all.
Yeah.
And they can get it. And that's the way they're acting. They're a very wealthy, rich kid with no boundaries. The SEC and the Big Ten right now. And
nobody's slapped their wrist or anything either. They're getting everything they want.
And for anyone that's listening that don't agree with me, think about and think that the Big Ten and SEC are correct. Put yourself in a school that's not in the Big Ten or SEC. Let's say you're going to school at Kansas State or Washington State or Florida State. Ooh, Florida State, that's kind of a rough one. Clemson, North Carolina. Florida State's a little special right now. So, but you get where I'm coming from. So,
all right, guys. Well, with all that juicy drama, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to dive into our oddities of the day. So make sure you stick around. Alrighty, guys, welcome back. Earlier, we were discussing the college football playoff format and future revenue, and now we're going to be diving into our oddities of the day. Got a good one. I think it's a good one.
You know what? I'm ready for this one.
Are you ready?
I've had a snack.
Another bite of his sandwich.
I'm ready. I'm ready
Tate's,
to do this.
Tate's rubbing his food in my face like I'm I'm gonna have to start getting show snacks too.
It's just one of our things that we do. It's these Portuguese snacks. They're so delicious.
Alrighty, so a disappointed granddad leaves his grandchildren only 50 pounds from a 500,000 pound fortune because they didn't visit enough.
Ooh.
Yeah. A granddad left five of his grandchildren 50 pounds from each of his 500,000 pound fortune after being disappointed that they did not visit him enough. A judge recently ruled Frederick Ward Sr. from Ealing, London, who passed away in 2020, was entitled to make changes to his will, the Mirror reports. A previous version of the veteran's will would have included a sizable inheritance for 5 of his granddaughters, but he later opted to split almost the entirety of fortune between his 2 surviving adult children, Terry Ward and Susan Wiltshire, rather than a third going to his late son's children. As a result, the children of his deceased son, Frederick Ward Jr., were left with only 50 pounds in an envelope, which sparked a family row. The former soldier, who was 91 when he died, informed his legal representatives that he was hurt after his late son's children didn't visit him while he was in the hospital 3 times with a lung condition. Mr. Ward's 5 granddaughters, Carol Gowing, Angelina St. Marcelli, Amanda Higginbotham, and Christine Ward and Jeanette Pett.
The crew.
Yeah, the crew. Sued after finding out that they had been disinherited. The sisters claimed they should be entitled to their late father's 1/3 share of the veteran's fortune. In the argument, the grandchildren asserted that their aunt and uncle had unduly influenced their grandfather, which resulted in this decision being made. But the judge basically ruled, like, sorry. So, but real quick, we got a comment that said, "Whoa, Mark." They asked if this was live. Yes, this is a live show. Hello.
Hello. Yes, it is live.
Yes, this is a live show. Anyway, so yeah.
Okay. The guy in the story is not live. Just for the
No,
record.
he's not alive.
But we're live.
We're alive.
How do I know? Because I've been eating snacks.
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay. I know more about this than I should. I've seen this happen more times than I can count.
Uh-huh.
And it's crazy. First off, the grandkids that only got the 50 pounds, you kind of fumbled the bag.
Yeah, you did.
It wasn't like Grandpa was asking you to change his depend undergarment. He just wanted you to come visit. Yeah. Sit down on the chair at the edge of the table, by the bed in the chair. Hey,
Yeah.
Gramps, how you doing? Want to watch the game? Now you're gonna sue after he's gone?
Mm-hmm.
Spend time with him. That's what you should have done. Don't be upset and now you're mad at him because you didn't handle your business. He's your family, so love him.
Mm-hmm.
Now, on the other side, I've seen this, and sometimes when people get older, their mind isn't quite what it used to be, and it kind of maybe they're grumpier and things of that nature. And it's harder for people to be around them.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen friends of friends who their parents have used their inheritance as a weapon.
Yeah.
If you don't do this, then I'm taking you out of their inheritance. And that happened. I've seen that happen. I knew a person who took care of their parents all the way to the end, except for, let's say, I think it was like the last 6 months. And, there was other things going on. And last 6 months, the caretaker took care of him. And the guy changed his will and left everything to the caretaker. Gosh. Now, and see, that's the tough thing. Because in that particular case, they took care of him that entire time, except for the last 6 months. Things came up, but things are so volatile with someone in their health and their life that sometimes people hold grudges.
Yeah.
There's never a right or wrong answer to this one. You know what I mean? Because woo, when you're looking around, you open that check and you're like, what did Paul get me? Let me open this. Let's see what Paul done hooked the brother up with.
$50.
And you look at it and you're like, he's just a kidder. That's that erasable ink, There's going to be more zeros going to start appearing on this bad boy, right? And 50 euros is about $55. Was it pounds, euro? What was it?
50 pounds. So American dollars would be about it would be like 65 American dollars.
Yeah, so about $65. Ooh. At that point,
That'll buy you gas.
No, it won't.
Put gas in your car.
Gas is about in Europe. Gas is about $8 a gallon out here.
Jeez.
Yeah, eight something a gallon. Don't get as far as
I'm complaining about $3 a gallon.
Oh no, I laugh at you guys all the time when y'all tripping on gas prices. Yeah, that's you fools. But if that has happened to you, a lot of times people just look at this and be like, oh, the one that got the money, he manipulated him. They want to find someone to blame. Maybe the blame should have been looking back at yourself.
Maybe the call is coming from inside the house. Hello.
Yeah. Exactly. Maybe just should have picked up the phone, started calling, going to visit. Not because of the money. You should want to be able to spend time with your parents and your grandparents. And sometimes it's hard, but sometimes you got to take take the bitter with the sweet. And this one, there's zeros involved on this one. That could
lots of zeros too.
A couple extra visits. Maybe tuck Paw in a little bit, feed him some oatmeal. You could have been swimming, and instead of having enough for
now, look what you've gone and done.
Now, if it was you, would you be looking back at this and mad at him, blaming the other sibling, or would you say, "Man, I wish I would have done more"?
Okay. Let me tell you something. All these people that always get so upset about the amount of money or stuff that is left to them through inheritance after the person dies. If you're upset about it, about what that person left you, in my opinion, if you're upset about it, you didn't really care about that person.
But you don't understand how many people feel like they're entitled to it.
You should be sad, devastated, upset that this person is no longer with you and is no longer in your life. And if your big worry is that granddad left me $65, then I think there's your answer. Right. Wait a minute.
There. Wait a minute. I'm gonna call a time out here. But you could have your cake and eat it too. You could have got the inheritance. You could have spent your time with him and took care of all of it. You fumbled the bag. You fumbled everything because, and I'm not trying to be crude by saying you fumbled the bag because you have to be fake. I'm just saying, when you have elderly parents, you want to spend as much time with them as possible. When I go home, I was just home in October for a month. There wasn't a day that didn't go by that I didn't spend time with my mom and my dad every single day. Sometimes 2 and 3 times a day for a month, because you got to cherish the time you have with them.
Absolutely.
Now, if some extra zeros get added to that, that's an extra bonus. That's,
Yeah.
They could have had everything. They could have had the cake, the ice cream, and the sprinkles, and they blew it. And now there's only person you can look at is yourself, because even if your grandfather or your dad was grumpy and a bitter old man, sometimes you gotta have thick skin. You just gotta let it slide, because you gotta cherish who they were. And so that's kind of the way I say. Yeah, if you cherish what they were, you'd have cherished what you got.
There are consequences and repercussions.
Consequences and repercussions
of your actions.
Girl, I would have reached through and give you another one of those virtual hugs. That's right. I couldn't have said it better. A wise man must have told you that. There's consequences and repercussions for your actions.
There are. And this was a big one. A big consequence and repercussion for your action. All you had to do was go see Granddad in the hospital.
I'm waiting on the moment you're hanging out with your friends or your family, and that just comes out naturally. Well, there's consequences and repercussions for your actions.
Well, that's like, it's so funny. I think I was like watching a television show the other day, and some character's name was Becky, and I just started laughing. Because of the name Becky. And like the background of the name Becky on the show, it's like every time I hear the name Becky, it's like I stifle out like a laugh.
Becky is a family member of the show here now.
She is.
That is hilarious, because you're kind of right. If you hear Becky, I instantly think of the show.
Oh, Becky.
And Becky should have been visiting Grandpa.
Becky should have been visiting Grandpa.
And Becky would have been just wiping some sweat off of Grandpa's head, maybe. Each time you pat that forehead and make sure he's okay and got him some fruit. That was an extra 0, Becky. You lost.
Yeah.
You could have been set.
Yep. But I don't know. All you guys out there, listen.
Uh-oh.
Listen.
Testify.
Spend time with your family. It doesn't take too much time, honestly, and you'll regret it if you don't after they're gone, and you won't get any money. So.
This is what we call a cautionary tale.
Yes.
You're lucky you got enough for some Subway. You got $65. As I found out through Faith, there's no longer those $5 footlongs anymore.
No, they're no longer $5, and we'll just leave it at that.
I apologize, Faith, but that's how I know. That's how I know that they're no longer $5 footlongs.
That's how you remember.
Faith had a slip up on the show one day, and it's a special moment. That's all I gotta say.
Any of you guys that want to know what the slip up is, you can check it out on YouTube. Because it'll be there forever. And it will haunt me till the day I die.
Ooh. That's the cool thing about this. There's always, every once in a while, these little slip ups. We both have had them. Yeah. Some of them a little more biblical than others.
Some a little worse than others.
Yes. Just like we started there's levels to the game. Like Francis Ngannou found out there was levels to the game, and that's why he took a nap. There's levels to these
Sometimes
mistakes
I'd be taking a nap. Sometimes I KO myself. So.
Ooh, yes. And the sad thing
gosh.
is, I can't even get on you because the biggest mistake of them all was mine. So you have more. I just have mine are just bigger.
Oh gosh. All right, guys. Well, with that, we're going to close out the show for today. Thank you so much for tuning into the Andrew Tate Show presented by the GSMC Sports Network. Your support means a lot to us, so please remember to subscribe to the show and leave a positive review. It really does make a difference. We also invite you to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram for more content and updates. Thank you once again. Have a wonderful day, and we'll see you tomorrow. Peace
out.
Tate's already reaching for his sandwich.
I was gonna grab it, but some crumbs started falling off.
All right, bye guys. See you tomorrow.
Bye.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet, damn, ain't that great.